You want to be a hero to the New York Times, to the once mighty Newsweek magazine? It's easy. Just get a job working for something called the Urban Radio Network, an outfit no one's ever heard of. Then, then you get to become their White House correspondent. Then whenever the president invites black people over, because even presidents that don't agree with this stuff are literally forced to play racial identity politics. So whenever the president of the United States, like Donald Trump, invites a large group of black people over for Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and they sign some proclamation, everybody's all happy. Whenever that happens, all you got to do is go to the event. Say you're from the White House press corps. Say, hey, what's up? And then as soon as the event is halfway over, start shouting out, Mr. President, are you a racist? Are you a racist? Are you a racist? That's exactly what April Ryan did of Urban Radio Networks on Martin Luther King Day. Let's hear a little bit of that.
Mr. President, will you give an apology for the statement yesterday?
Mr. President, did you refer to African nations? You swear shithole.
Mr. President, are you a racist?
Mr. President, if anything happened to
Mr. President, will you respond to these serious questions about your statement, sir?
No, Mr. President, answer the
I'm talking to the President, not you, sir. Mr. President, are you a racist?
I mean, that's her thing. Following the president around, calling him a racist. Oh, and no, don't give me this. Well, Colin, she was just asking the president a question. Yeah, okay, Listen, you don't really get to bring stupid stuff into here. You don't really get to deny the obvious here. We don't really play that deny the obvious game around here, okay? If you go around shouting at a presidential event, over and over and over, Mr. President, are you a racist? Are you a racist? That is saying you are a racist. Capiche? You know, it's hard to know how much of the White House press corps stuff is scripted. I don't mean that in some kind of sinister way. I just mean that in a way like, you're going to work. A reporter, they go to work just like everybody else. They carry a lunch bucket. They're talking. They have a boss they talk to. I mean, do the bosses give them some questions? I think they do. They probably work on their questions if they're lucky enough to get asked a question at a press conference, either by the president or by the press secretary. So how does that conversation go with April Ryan, the black reporter for the Urban Radio Network? I mean, does she call does she and her boss get on the phone and the boss goes, so what's on your schedule today? No, in the newsroom they call it a budget. So April, what's on your budget today? She goes, oh man, my day is crammed, man. I can't even stay on the phone that long. At 9:00, I got to be in the Oval Office so I can call President Trump a racist. Then I got to rush on over to the Department of Housing and Urban Development at 11:00 so I can call Don Carter, the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, a racist. Then I got to rush over to. I hear Pence is going to be at lunch at this restaurant in D.C. at 12:30. I got to rush over there. Get a seat so I can call him a racist. Then I got 2 Republican senators and 1 Republican congressman scheduled at 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, and each one, I'm going to call them a racist. So as you can see, my day is busy. The editor's on the other end of the line going, April, man, you really speak truth to power. No wonder you're so popular with the National Association of Black Journalists, which she is. She's like their hero over there. Showing up, not really doing any stories that anybody's ever heard of, but showing up and calling people a racist. That's her thing. She doesn't just do it in the Oval Office or in the White House. She does it on NPR, on the evening news program. I don't even know what they call it now. Used to be McNeil Lehrer, then the Lehrer or the McNeil, and I don't even know whose name is on it now, but she's the designated panelist. She sits in her chair. I can just imagine. Now I'm doing the mind reading thing. I can just imagine, the director. Sometimes they wear earpieces so they can take some cues from the producer or the director. I mean, all the morning people do that, right? They have a little earbud in. So they know, when to cut something off or when to move along. So I could see April sitting there talking about how black people are relentless victims of relentless white racism all the time, everywhere. That explains everything. I could see the director saying, April, yeah, can you give us a little more of a frown there? Yeah, kind of go between frown and semi-menacing, frown, semi-menacing, frown, semi-menacing. Yeah, that way the other panelists will know, what you're saying is really true. And, April has 27 different looks, 27 different ways, 27 different practiced ways to call Republicans racist. And that's what she does. Is there one person on this planet that went to the water cooler in the last 10 years and said, man, that April Ryan, man, did you see that story she wrote this morning? Did you hear about that story she broke this morning? Anybody? No one's ever said that. And so April Ryan basically makes her living by going around repeating what other reporters say, except she just adds her racist patina to it. And if she does accidentally find herself on the phone with a source, I tell you, it's amazing. Sometimes you see these TV reporters, it's like, wow, I actually called somebody on the phone today and I got a story. Wow, it was like they're all excited. And if you do find yourself on the source, you're usually talking to a source who's just repeating what he read in the papers today. And it all meets back at the same place, right? It's that Donald Trump's a racist. Anybody who's conservative is a racist. Anybody who's not a raging white liberal is a racist. And even even the allies, the liberal allies, well, we have to instruct them on how not in their unconscious and subconscious and semi-conscious and different layers of conscious racism. That's how they roll. So yesterday, the Housing and Urban Development Center down in Houston, a black woman, I don't know if she's the spokesman, I think she's the head of a regional office. And she did some fat shaming, okay, on April Ryan. This one black woman called April Ryan a name, I'll just say it, and she called her Miss Piggy. Called her a name, and on a tweet, and all of a sudden the world started to explode. She took her tweet down a few hours later, profusely apologized, but that didn't really solve anything. Lots and lots of Trump supporters were out there, condemning this functionary in Houston for picking a fight with April Ryan. Here's Armstrong Williams. Now, Armstrong Williams, he's officially, he's the official best friend of Dr. Ben Carson. And he has a radio show. I've been on the show a bunch of times. He's always treated me just fine. Armstrong Williams, if you asked him, somebody would probably say he's conservative. So anyway, Armstrong Williams put out a tweet this morning where he reminded people, I have known April D. Ryan for 25 years. No one should be shamed. And she has my profound apologies. I spoke with Dr. Carson. He was deeply disappointed by what occurred. He tried reaching out to April this morning, but wasn't able to reach her. He offers his deepest apologies. Okay, all right, okay, I get it, Armstrong. It's not ideal for a Republican functionary whom nobody really knows that well to go picking fights with in Houston, to go picking fights with White House correspondents in Washington. I get it. But I also don't get this level of panic that everybody's going around, everybody's at least practicing, putting on, at least for show, if not for real. A lot of these people that come in and out of our lives, these great conservative commentators, and they leave us with one piercing piece of analysis that we just don't forget, no matter what else they contribute to our lives. I'm thinking of Dr. Michael Savage, who talks about how liberalism is a mental disorder. Say whatever you want about Savage, and I happen to enjoy him, but that's his legacy, the name of his book. Liberalism is a mental disorder. I mean, because, when I talk to liberals, and I've talked to too many in my life, I still talk to too many in my life, people will go to me, Colin, what do they mean by that? What do they mean by that? It's like, hey, there's a person outside on the corner. They don't have any clothes on. It's snowing. They're looking up at the sky and shouting at God and dancing around. So you want me to go and have a theological discussion with that person? Is that what you just said? And whatever else Steve Bannon accomplishes and has accomplished with his life, his big contribution, at least as far as I'm concerned, is he was the one who correctly identified as reporters, members of the press, as being the opposition party. April Ryan is part of the opposition party. It's weird that Trump has to give the head of the opposition party an office inside the White House. Whatever. So I don't really engage in back and forth with a lot of liberals. We do expose them. We do expose them for their denial, deceit, and delusion. I do look them in the eye and listen to what they say, so I can tell you guys about it or show you guys about it. Because unless you've really experienced it face to face, it's hard to believe that this level of denial, deceit, delusion really exists. I mean, when I was at the big, we're going to talk about this party actually a little bit more, but the Manhattan Party, the Night for Freedom with Cernovich, McGinnis, and Stefan Molyneux. I got up there. The party was Saturday. I got up there on a Friday. A couple of fans of this channel, a couple of fans of my books. I met up with them, and they said, "Hey, my brother's in town. Want to go meet my brother for dinner?" "Sure, let's go." Hopped in a cab, went down there. Next thing you know, we're eating in a nice little French restaurant in Manhattan, which was fantastic. This guy really doesn't know me from Adam, except for a couple things his brother told him about him. So this guy lives in Baltimore. He's an art dealer in Baltimore. And he spent a good part of the evening trying to convince me that roaming bands of white kids are the ones responsible for crime in Baltimore. And then he spent the other part of the evening reminding me that in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue and white people used to commit a lot of crime back then too. So Colin, what's your point? So I don't really engage with them. I just try to draw them out. I like to see people I like to hear, when I get a chance to see somebody saying something like that, I'm just like, I kind of feel like I'm a kid at the zoo watching some exotic zoo animal. Yes, Colin. Problem in Baltimore is white kids rampaging through our neighborhood. That's the one we have problems with. I mean, what are the chances? How many people in Baltimore now? I don't even know. I mean, it's probably 600,000 or 700,000 when it used to be 2 or 3 times that. I found the one guy who figured out that white kids in Baltimore are the one causing all the crime. So I may have pushed back a little, but not that much. I don't think I did. Again, I was just eager to listen. And so in my own life, I try not to go around calling people names based on their looks or their weight, with the possible exception of the clown at Active Self-Deception. We'll talk about him in a minute too. But at this point, I'm not really getting overly upset if somebody pushes back on April Ryan after April Ryan has been taunting this person. Oh, yeah, you didn't see that in the paper today. Didn't hear about that if you learned about this at all. Yeah, it turns out April Ryan and this functionary in Houston have been going back and forth on Twitter for several months. And you know, it's gotten kind of nasty. And so here's the thing. So we got April Ryan and all these other guys. That's what they do all day. They just call conservative names. We push back and everybody goes, oh, no, we can't do that. Well, I understand why we shouldn't do that. I understand why in an ideal world we shouldn't do that. Because when we call somebody a name, like saying somebody's fat, most of the time we're really diminishing ourselves, aren't we? I mean, that's why we don't do it. That's why it's smart not to do it. And I appreciate somebody coming back with wit, a rapier, rather than wit with a big old bludgeon on the end of it. But here's what I also know. That now we're living in a world where we're changing. We're going from this worldview to that worldview. And the people with the old worldview that Trump and every conservative and everybody on the planet except for them is a big bad racist, to this worldview, which is, hey, you can make it on this planet through your own merits if you try. No one's going to stop you. That's a paradigm shift. That's a tectonic shift. I know why that freaks people out, why they're trying to resist it. But like any change, I don't see how this change is going to happen. We're going to go from A to B, A to Z without some argy-bargy, without some conflict, without some drama. So I don't know why we have to overreact to it. I don't know why Dr. Ben Carson has to rush around making sure April Ryan's feelings aren't hurt today. Why is that? When April Ryan is calling Trump a racist and she calls everybody else on the planet a racist with regularity on the national news shows where she's a regular panel member, all these different networks. She calls somebody a racist. Is the world going into a tizzy about the feelings she hurt? No, she becomes a hero. She's a hero for Newsweek now. Newsweek did a huge story about April Ryan, solely on the fact that she goes around calling Trump a racist. And yet, if she's such a great reporter, Newsweek, why didn't you hire her? Apparently, she's been in the news business for 25 years. Has her byline ever been in Newsweek? Has she ever specialized in urban affairs, writing for Newsweek? How did you overlook that talent, Newsweek? How did Time overlook it? How did the New York... I think she actually did some strings. I think she actually did have a byline or two in the New York Times. I'm not sure. But now she's working for the Urban Radio Network. And everybody's worried about whether her feelings are hurt. Everybody wants to apologize to April. We just did a big, I don't want to go over the same ground we covered yesterday, but we did do a big podcast yesterday about apologies and about all these ministers now are apologizing. I think her name was, what's her name? Linda Jacobs. She was on the mall in Washington, D.C. She was on her hands and knees begging black people for forgiveness in front of a huge crowd of evangelicals. I'm sorry. You got Marianne Williamson a few days ago on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. She told all the black people in the room, this is crazy. She's 700 people in the room, everybody paying between $40 and $100 a pop. 700 people in the room, sold out. She's one of these spiritual gurus. Kind of, you know, I don't know. It's hard to classify people, right? Whether she's new age or she's spiritual or she's quasi-religious, who knows? Anyway, she's got a following. She sells a lot of books. She fills up rooms, people who don't mind hearing her talk. So in this night, there were 200 people in the audience, according to the Houston Chronicle. 200 people were black people were in the audience out of the 700. She asked them to stand up. Then she said to all the white people in the room, oh, go hug a black person. Go take their hand. Go hug them. No, I'm not making this up. And then Marianne Williamson got into a pretty long, I don't want to call it a rant. It didn't sound like a rant. It sounded more like a prayer. She got into this long prayer slash explanation of white racism and black victimization. The same stuff we cover here every day, and how it's doing all this damage. In the meantime, all the white people are hugging the black people as if they're some kind of pet in a zoo. You don't see that, Marianne Williamson? And one of the pets in the zoo was a reporter for the Houston Chronicle. She was the fashion and beauty editor. And so that was an apology. And then yesterday, we also put out a video, getting ready to put this video out in the next 24 hours. It's done. I'm just trying to schedule them. This minister went and gave the same speech Marianne Williamson gave to. This is a minister. He reminded everybody about 4,000, 4 million, 4 billion years of white racism, how we're keeping the fellas down, and how we have to beg them for forgiveness, which is what he did on video while he, like Jesus, was it the Last Supper, or he washed the apostles' feet? I forget. So he washed the feet of a black person. Washed them. Toweled them off with a white towel, all the while telling us about how much white people suck and we have to beg for forgiveness. So that's the thing. I guess begging for forgiveness is in this year. Now we have to beg April Ryan for forgiveness, that some functionary in Houston called her a name. A name, by the way, not out of bounds with when the interchange these guys have been having over the last 6 months. I don't know why I thought of this, but April kind of reminds me of a scene, the regular recurring theme of that animated TV cartoon series, South Park. I don't know if they still do this, but for many years, at least once during the show, one of the characters named Kenny would die. And every time he died, somebody would go, "They killed Kenny." And everybody else would go, "You bastards." And it's kind of like April Ryan. Like, she just shows everywhere she goes. She just shows up, and she doesn't say they killed Kenny. She just says, "That white person, fill in the blank, is a racist." Then everybody behind her says, "Those bastards." And now we're supposed to apologize to April. Let's all apologize to April. On Twitter, she's at April D. Ryan. APRILDRYAN at April Ryan, April D. Ryan. But why do all these apologies, why do all these explanations always go one way? We did a story a few weeks ago on the symbolic racism test. This is a test that academics give during their studies about race. They want to measure your racial attitudes and correlate your attitudes with your opinion on gun control or abortion or Trump, so they can come back like April Ryan or Kenny and say, "Oh yeah, people who like Trump or gun control or don't like gun control or don't like abortion, they're just a bunch of racist bastards." You use that test. But if you look at the test is one way. The test is a white person test. The test basically asks you 25 different ways, one question, which is, do you think black people should get preferential treatment for jobs, for schools, for welfare, for lots and lots of other things in this country? Is that okay with you? To the degree you say, no, I think everybody should be judged on their own merits, then you are deemed to be a racist. And that's how they do these studies. So all the apologies go one way. I mean, even at the Night for Freedom, Mike Cernovich, a Chinese guy named Samuel from Montreal. I later tracked him down and had a nice talk with him, long talk. He stood up and said, I think my uncle's racist. What should I do? He doesn't really like black people. And everybody made fun of him for a while. Then everybody took a whack at him. And Cernovich, he was the last answer. He was the one I remember the most because he said, listen, if your uncle has a problem with black people, that's a problem your uncle has inside of himself. He has problems that he's projecting onto the black people. So there was not one note of, oh yeah, Cernovich or anybody else in that room, you are aware that black people target Asians for violence all over the country, correct? So when I went up to Samuel, I introduced myself as the guy who has written more about black on Asian violence and done more videos on black on Asian violence than anybody on this world, in this life, or the next. And I said, Samuel, I just want you to do me one favor. If you see your uncle, ask him if he's ever been the victim of black violence. Samuel says, I already know he has been. He used to run a convenience store. And so the drill with these Asian kids is their family, they're the first generation that are over here that get the crappy jobs, that work in the dangerous environments. Their main drill is giving their family a new life, not just a better life, a new life. Part of that life is protecting their next generation from the ridiculous reality of what they have gone through to establish themselves in America, i.e., the enormous amount of racial violence directed at Asian people. And for that kindness, for that generosity, they have to suffer as the next couple of generations look back at them and say, man, for some reason, I don't know why, my dad and uncle and aunts, when they sit around the table, they don't really have many nice things to say about our African American brothers. I wonder why that is. I won't repeat what we've done on video and on podcast here the last 2 weeks. But where's the apology? Where's the Asian person sitting in a chair and the black person washing their feet, begging for forgiveness? Where's the test where you give to a black person? Where the question might be something like, do you believe all Asian people lie, cheat, steal, and smuggle gold into this country, and that's the only reason they've gotten so far ahead in the short time they've been there? You know the answer to that? A ton of black people believe that somehow Asians are getting ahead by cheating. You know, those people that are working 12, 14 hours a day, 7 days a week down in the hood with the plexiglass that's going to be removed soon because black people don't like it when Asian people put plexiglass in their stores in Philadelphia. They'd rather have a clear shot at throwing crap at them, at robbing them, at spitting them, at punching them. But that makes black people feel poorly, so we have to apologize to them. Yeah, when they had this meeting at City Council, the Asian people, of course, the people who wanted the plexiglass, the store owners, the working people, when they went to City Council and they waited for 3 hours to get to their part of the meeting. Of course, they started off by reminding everybody, apologizing. Oh, no, we're not racist. No, we're not racist. So why do the victims have to come forward and apologize? Did one person in that city council look at those Asians, including the Asian member of that council? Did one person up there look at them and say, man, I'm really happy of all the work you do in our city. Really sorry that you are under constant threat and reality of black violence in your stores, going to work, while you're at work, while you go home, when you get out of your car, when you walk up to your door, while you're in your house. That's a thing. Black on Asian crime is a thing. I mean, it just happened again this morning. Listen to this.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jim Donovan.
And I'm Rahul Solomon. The man was forced at gunpoint back inside his Philadelphia home, where police say he was zip-tied by several suspects and robbed. Eyewitness News reporter Anita was live at Northwest Detectives, where, Anita, you spoke with the victim. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Rahel and Jim. Well, that homeowner tells me that he is angry not because his life was threatened, but because the suspects reportedly threatened the life of his 9-month-old son. Now, luckily, there is surveillance video, as you can see, that shows 4 suspects at different times. The first man is dressed as a postal worker. He pulls out a gun and forces the victim back into his home. Police do believe that these suspects targeted this man on the 5400 block of North 2nd Street. This all happened yesterday around 3:15 in the afternoon when the victim was placing his child in the backseat of his car. Police say the suspects zip-tied and duct-taped the victim while also hitting him in the face with a handgun. The suspects did get away with $5,000 in cash, an iPhone 7, and the victim's house and car keys.
By the time I put my child in the car, I didn't pay attention. But I turned back, he behind me already. Okay?
Did he say he's a mailman, or did he say...
No, he said he got a package for me.
Now, police say the suspects are described as 4 black men who got away in a Buick and a Pontiac nearby. They say if you recognize them, to call police. You'll hear more from this victim himself tonight on Eyewitness News at 5 and 6. But for now, we're live at Northwest Detectives. Anita O, CBS 3 Eyewitness News.
April Ryan is a big hero at the National Association of Black Journalists. And for the last year, they've really been promoting a lot of different levels there. I think they call it the Black Man Media Project, where they're going to improve the image of the black man. Which that means is anybody in the National Association of Black Journalists or their friends in the newsrooms, anytime anybody wants to do a story connecting the dots on black on Asian violence or black on young, black on old, black on gay, black on straight, why are the gay people so damn quiet about the tsunami epidemic of violence against them? Why is that? Go check out a website in Chicago called CWB. It's a website / newsletter from Boys Town up there. Boys Town, yeah. The gay people hang out in Boys Town. No, I don't know why they call it Boys Town, but that's where they hang. That's where the black people go when they want an easy target for assault and robbery. And by the way, put them in that order. The fun part is beating the hell out of somebody. When you have 3, 4, 5 people beating the hell out of somebody, a gay person, and you rifle their pockets, you're not going to get much, okay? There's not going to be that much there to split up. So let's keep it straight. What's going on there? Where are the apologies, black on gay? Where are the people in the newsroom whenever they want to do a story like that? When somebody goes, I've been noticing a lot of gay people being beat up in Chicago lately, or in Philly, or Boston, or Baltimore. Has anybody noticed any pattern besides the gay thing? Everybody in the newsroom, kind of looks, eyes shift from side to side. They go, no, we haven't noticed anything. Does anybody know the people doing all the violence are black? Well, Colin, back in 1999, we had a white person assault some gay people around here. So that kind of proves you're 100% wrong, doesn't it? No, I mean, in the last couple of years, has anybody noticed that in Baltimore or Chicago, in a gay neighborhood, gay people are targets of black violence? Colin, I don't see any evidence of that. No, of course you see evidence. All the people being arrested for beating up gay people are black, and many of the gay victims are black. You don't see that? Well, I know that's true, Colin, but do you have any evidence of that, Colin? Did you do your mind reading thing to determine their motivation, Colin? This is how these conversations go. These same reporters that look at a pattern from 1921 to 2021 and say, 2 things happened. That's a pattern. They'll ignore hundreds and hundreds of things under identical circumstances. And they'll go, oh, no, we don't have any proof of that, Colin. They want you to think that's a coincidence. It's the world's largest coincidence. Part of the world's greatest lie. The greatest lie of our generation, the hoax of black victimization. And now we got April Ryan playing the victim. She's offended that anybody would take a whack at her because all she does all day on day is go around calling Trump a racist. Well, I don't know how we're going to get from here to there. On our way. But at some point, when people hit us, when people come at us, we've got to come back at them 10 times more. And when they come at us, we have to stop looking at them going, man, are you going to apologize for? No, they don't apologize. What they do is you go back at them and go, hey, I'm coming back at you. No, then you're the one who has to apologize for coming back at them. And that's the world we live in. At some point that's going to, I'm not saying we have to change it or not. I'm just saying that's going to change. People are going to recognize this right to self-defense against idiots like April Ryan. Now let me put out my perfunctory how easy it is to prove me wrong bit. So I'm saying April Ryan is a know-nothing, no-talent reporter. I didn't say anything about her weight, okay? She's a know-nothing, no-talent reporter that has never broken or participated in one significant story in her entire life. There's no wiggle room in what I just said. I didn't say hardly any stories in her entire life. No, you don't get brownie points for writing a book talking about your struggle to overcome white racism so you can be in the White House and call everybody in the White House a white racist. No, we don't get brownie points for ridiculous things around here. But if what I'm saying about April Ryan is wrong, if I'm off base, wouldn't that be easy to show? Colin, she wrote this story that resulted in somebody getting out of prison. Colin, she wrote this story that showed this politician was doing this and that hurt these people and that people unjustly. Go ahead. You could take down the big bad Colin. You can go, this is what happens. People, they come to, especially, I don't know why Facebook attracts these people, but they do. They come to Facebook, leave a comment, then they go talk to all their buddies, their little black troll buddies and white liberal buddies. They go, oh man, we just took Colin down, man. We just went and called him a name. Okay. That's what you can do too. All you have to do is show me I'm wrong about April Ryan. Show me she has some talent, some ability. Show me she has something going for her other than walking around calling random white people racists. And then convincing okay, that's a talent. I'll give you that. That's a talent. Doing that, then convincing people that's what you call journalism. I'll give you, that's some kind of skill that very few people have. So she's like a hero at the National Association of Black Journalists. She's part of the Black Man Project where, again, they're trying to improve the image without commenting on the behavior. Sometimes I forget to put the punchline on these stories. That was the punchline on the newsroom stories. The black people in the newsroom monitor their colleagues' behavior because they all know that we can't show black people doing bad things anymore. We have to show them doing good things because showing black people committing crime wildly out of proportion, well, that makes us feel real poorly, Colin. Showing black people committing crime, catching black people committing crime, that causes black people to commit crime. Don't you know that, Colin? Colin, why don't you know? Colin, everybody else knows that. Why don't you know that? Because unless you know that, Colin, you're going to make a lot of black kids angry.